Hi, I'm Austin.
And I'm Beth, and today on the Points Unknown channel, we're going to install a ladder on the back of our Sprinter van.
Now, historically, we have not had a ladder, and we've been using this can you hold this?
Of course.
We've been using this super awesome deal to get to the roof of our van to clean off the solar panels and other things that make roof access nice. And this extending ladder is pretty cool and highly portable and fit in the back of our van great, but was pretty treacherous when we were doing winter activities, trying to set this up on the snow and ice, and for fear that it would slide out from underneath us, and also worried about scratching the van as it's leaning up against it.
And then with the debacle with our receiver hitch rack, we were looking for different alternatives to be able to carry bikes and skis on the back of the van while still having access to the doors, and the SURCO ladder presented itself.
So we'll cover the bike and ski carrier on the ladder in a later video, but in this video we're going to go through how we install the SURCO ladder on the back of our Sprinter van. Uh-oh, Beth, what did we do wrong?
Well, in all of our great forethought and ingenuity, we failed to take into consideration how far wide the bike rack bars were going to be outside of the ladder. So in all the time we spent trying to figure out the best way to get clearance of the ladder from the door when it was open, we put it to where now we can't open this door with the bike rack on. Womp womp.
So we're going to have to move the ladder over after we drilled the holes and everything was all good in there. We're going to have to drill new holes, plug the old holes, probably just put bolts through to plug the old holes, and then move the whole ladder over to the left more. If you're just putting the ladder in,
all good,
and then just using it as a ladder and not putting anything on the back of it, perfect, absolutely perfect. If you're going to put a bike rack and hopefully a ski rack on the ladder, well, it's still applicable, I think, and we'll do some updates, but it's not going to work to put the ladder centered like we have it. This project will continue.
When we ordered the SURCO ladder, it came with the ladder and this handy little kit that has some foam for us to place on the bits that are going to touch the door, and then it also came with a set of screws that we're opting not to use. Instead, we're going to go with some longer stainless steel hardware, so we'll actually end up taking the paneling out of the door, drilling a hole and pushing these through, which we would have done anyway, but these will just be a little bit more sturdy. And then, because we want to keep the functionality of the door where we can swing it all the way open and have it stay open, we've got a longer door stopper that we bought aftermarket so that we can replace the shorter one that's on there that won't work once the ladder's installed.
So ultimately we'll put the foam on the ladder, but to start off we'll just do, can you hold the door?
Of course.
I get it this time?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. That looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Before we put the ladder on for real, I want to see what exactly we're drilling into on the back side of this panel. The ladder did come with sheet metal screws, so we could just drill through the door and go right into the van without taking this panel off using the sheet metal screws. However, especially for something like this, it's going to rattle around a lot and we're going to be climbing on. You know, I don't really trust the sheet metal screws to not loosen up over time, and also for security reasons, especially since we're talking about planning on putting bikes on the back and skis and everything else. You know, want to make it a little bit tougher than just undoing a couple of screws to take the whole ladder, bikes, and everything else off. So let's pop this guy off. There it is. So as you can see, what we're popping out is these little green tabs that just click in. And again, like I said, they're very fragile. They're very easy to break. You can certainly be more careful than I was and use a trim removal tool. But I found even using those, you're still just as likely to break things, and it takes twice as long. So there's that panel out of the way. And unsurprisingly, we've got our insulation in the door that we'll have to remove.
And that's glued in.
Yep, and the glued in insulation, which we'll have to just peel off. But nice to see that the insulation is still exactly how we placed it, what, 6 years ago?
Yep, just about.
Okay, so I think part of the key in placement of the ladder horizontally on the van here, you know, is that we need the screws to not go into some place that we can't get to them. That's kind of one of the risks of doing it this way. But I think everything is accessible here because I can kind of see all around where I am. I'm going to be somewhere behind this panel where I can reach, and then right in this area, which I can reach less easily. Might need to move it over just a little bit.
And are there any wires or anything we need to be careful of not hitting?
There's this wire here that we should be careful to not hit.
So to help with finding the best position for the ladder, we're actually going to install the longer door stop first, so that we'll know for sure that that's going to work, and we can find what we need to do to get rid of the old one by peeling back right here, and then we'll just need wound up being a 14mm wrench. Funny, with the rubber mallet, I can pound that from this side.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. It's just like, oh, there it goes. Just popped right off.
Rubber mallet for the win.
Nice work. Okay, and then we'll replace it with the longer one. There's a significant difference between the two. So we'll go with the longer one. And we're doing all this now so that we can assess, you know, make sure that we're putting the ladder in a position where it can still open. All right, and we're just contacting the van with the ladder. So what that tells me, as it's touching, what that tells me is we need to move the ladder at least into this position. So based on the extended door opening and position of the ladder, we've established that the ladder needs to be at least here or further to the right in order to not contact the ladder when the door is fully open.
So when we were choosing the position of the ladder, we wanted to take a couple of things into consideration. One was that it didn't block our backup camera, so that we wouldn't be getting a good view of what is behind us when we're trying to position the van backing in or out of spaces. The other thing is to make sure that the ladder itself is straight, so that we have a good placement on the back of the van. So we take our handy dandy tool for that, and we say, oops, and I move it just a little bit, but it is straight. Now we'll draw our holes so that we know where to drill.
Okay, so Beth has marked the holes. We're going to drill them out. Again, we're using 1/4-inch stainless steel bolts with socket cap heads. So we'll drill out to about 5/16 of an inch, the clearance for the 1/4 inch. First I'll punch the holes, or punch the marks where Beth marked to make it easy to locate the drill. Good. My preferred drill bit of choice for doing any of this is a step drill bit. I like it for drilling metal because it keeps the edges really clean, because it starts with a small hole and then expands outward, so you're not trying to move a lot of metal all at once. Definitely once you drill a few holes in the van, doing other things, cutting large holes in the roof, drilling a couple little holes in the van is pretty low risk. But I do want to check them before I drill them out all the way, so I just drilled them partially first. I just want to make sure that everything's out of the way and it's where I expected it to be. There is an electrical cable back here that I'm going to get pulled out of the way. Should be fine. Now they've got the holes drilled, we'll get some paint on them so that they don't rust. Always want to prevent or minimize rusting on the van, so I like to just put a little bit of rust-resistant paint in the holes anytime I've done any drilling or cutting on the van. Usually I use a special just little can of paint, but that's dried solid now, so we're just going to use some Ace Rust Stop blue paint, spray paint that I'll just spray here on this paper towel. And I mean, for obviously if I was doing a big paint job I wouldn't do it this way, but for just trying to get a little bit of paint on these holes, this works just fine. Perfect.
The ladder came with some foamy pieces that we're going to mount to the contact points on the ladder where it will hit the van so that it won't scrape them. I am going to prep the spots by cleaning them with some rubbing alcohol before I go to adhere the pads to it. It is a little chilly today, so it'll be exciting to see how well the adhesive works, but we'll be aggressive with it and make sure that it sticks. Now for the moment of truth.
One thing I like about this SURCO ladder, and one of the things that enticed me to buy it, in addition to the fact that it was like half the cost of other ladders on the market and is still made in the US, family-owned business, pretty awesome stuff, and available locally from the Sprinter store over near Portland, is that, you know, it hangs from the top, so you don't have to like worry about, you know, I mean, this install is pretty simple because you don't have to worry about like holding it while you're trying to drill the holes or trying to measure it while you're trying to, it's like hang it, draw the holes, drill, done. Allen key or socket head, 1/4 inch cap screws with fender washers on the back, and nylock nuts, so that you won't be able to just unscrew it from the outside, even if you have the right size Allen cap. Just popped right in. Yeah, yours as well. All right, and with the extended door stop there, it does not contact the side of the van when fully open. So, bonus. So we standardized in our van, pretty much everything in the interior is all 1/4 inch screws. So we kept with the 1/4 inch or imperial standard for these. So it's a 5/32 Allen key and a 7/16 inch wrench on the nut. Okay, that was taking forever. You got it? You're holding on tight?
Yep.
You know, only a little bit faster with the power tool.
Just a touch.
All right, you want to grab the other one? And again, the original kit that comes with the ladder just had sheet metal screws that we could have just drilled from the outside, or, you know, drilled pilot holes from the outside and put those screws in without ever taking the panel off or having to mess with these washers or anything. But again, you know, I just my experience with sheet metal screws is they rattle out over time, so my preference was to put in stainless steel bolts that go all the way through.
There we go.
For both stability and security.
We've got everything attached. We snugged down the extended door block, and now we're just gonna put all of our stuffing back in and get things back together.
Putting the panel back on, you can see as I pried it off by hand, left a lot of the green tabs that are used to hold the panel on still on the door. They just kind of came off the panel. So this time I will use a trim tool to get back behind these guys, and they're really in there.
Better than it was before.
So, as many green tabs in there as we could get. Hopefully they stay in there long enough to pop it back into the door.
Well, thank you for joining us today while we installed our brand new SURCO ladder on the back of our Sprinter van. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please like and follow Points Unknown so that you can see more of our great content.
We try and do new videos once a month covering things like installing cool accessories on our Sprinter van, also motorcycles, adventures, and other cool DIY projects. So if that's the kind of stuff you're interested in, definitely hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. Because we put the ladder in the wrong place initially, we need to cover the holes and re-drill, put the ladder in a better spot for our bike rack. So what we're going to do to cover the holes is we got some stainless steel 1/4-inch bolts, stainless steel washer, rubber grommet or rubber washer, another stainless steel washer, and then a lock nut on the back. And so the rubber grommet will go on the outside and seal the holes. So that sealed the holes pretty nicely with the rubber washer there inside the stainless steel. And so now we're ready to do this all over again.